Folks, thanks for coming on with us today. My name's John Dubas with Premier Marketing, and we'll be spending the next 45 minutes or so discussing a grassroots marketing technique that deals with working with the providers of the care of the programs that we offer as insurance professionals. It's a program that garners you year-round prospects and is an opportunity to ingrain yourself within your target market with the people that are delivering on the care for the products that you offer. We'll be recording today's presentation, and it, along with the PowerPoint to today's presentation and additional resources that we will reference throughout the course of the presentation, will come to you after the recording updates and is sent to everyone who has RSVP'd for today's presentation. A bit of information about Premier Marketing for those of you who are unaware. We're a national marketing organization founded in 1968. We're part of the Integrity Marketing Platform with offices across the country. We act as an insurance wholesaler, providing insurance services to the public through independent insurance agents such as yourself, and the contracts that we work through with those agents are at the highest possible commission levels, with recruiting contracts available to those who qualify. As I mentioned, we were founded in 1968, so that means this last year we celebrated a notable milestone, our 50th anniversary. It's a great accomplishment for a small family agency in rural Nebraska who has grown into one of the largest producers in the Medicare space, in both the Medicare Supplement and Medicare Advantage world. We do so through a full insurance portfolio that includes Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement plans and programs for prescription medications in the Medicare programs. We also offer a full portfolio of life insurance and annuity products, including final expense life insurance and pre-need plans, long and short-term care programs, disability income plans, and ancillary benefits, such as dental, vision, and hearing programs, critical illness cancer plans, and hospital indemnity programs. That Medicare Advantage portfolio includes all the big boys across the country and many of the strong regional carriers that make a difference for you in your market. That same philosophy carries over to the prescription drug portfolio, where the national carriers are available to you through our organization, and the standalone products as well. That Medicare Supplement portfolio is very robust and comes with an assortment of tools that helps you be successful in that space, not only identifying what are the most competitive programs for your market, but also as a marketing tool to help you present those programs to the buying public. In the ancillary product space, you have all the name brands in the different categories that are available to you, and these folks tend to be very innovative in the agent support that they deliver with different electronic marketing programs and enrollment tools that make these perfect cross-selling programs that not only fill the need of your prospects and clients, but also generate an additional revenue stream for you and your agency. When we speak of the Medicare market and the opportunities that come as part of that space, we have a burgeoning number of people becoming eligible for that coverage. Yes, it's the aging of the baby boomers. You can't get on a presentation like this without a marketer like myself or a carrier representative speaking to that near incremental growth of the Medicare population. But if you look at that just based on age, you're missing about a sixth of the market, because there is a good portion of folks that access Medicare benefits because of disability, and they are prime prospects for many of the products that we offer as well. It is a diverse population where you have a number of folks that are afflicted by different chronic conditions. 2/3 of the population have 3+ chronic conditions, and they may be, in certain circumstances, income disadvantaged, so we put it that way. So those two factors, along with other influencers within that community, make it a strong need for us to have a solid portfolio of products to offer and a reasonable range of programs in place to address that population by meeting them and giving them the opportunity to learn more of the protections that you offer through the different insurance programs and carriers with whom you contract. Because as people age into Medicare, they have choices. They can do nothing. Go with what Medicare offers, self-insure for the basis of the rest of the costs of their care, or pick up a traditional, standardized, modernized Medicare supplement and perhaps a Part D program to help with their medications, or go into the private arena in Part C, where the benefits are delivered by private insurers. But it's a choice then that they have to make, and many of those decisions are influenced by the people that are delivering that care, their providers. And there are a multitude of providers in the space, as we're all aware, some that participate in the Medicare program, some that don't. And you have a piece of the pie as well that don't file any claims with Medicare, not be it balance billing or however the situation is. Each of these providers are a source of assistance for us in reaching a population that needs our help. And we have different ways of reaching out to them and making that a viable part of our overall marketing program. Because when we market to and with providers, we're dealing with a solid influencer to the folks they deal with. Their patients take their word for a lot of different things, and they can be even more influential than family members. They're a trusted source of referrals, and their activities that you can do in conjunction with a particular provider can be mutually beneficial. You can help drive them business as well as them making available to you qualified prospects. And if you think of it, these folks tend to be of a little higher income, and they are potential prospects and clients themselves down the road once you establish a relationship. When you look at the population overall, you've got folks that have been in the business for a while, doctors that are established with a patient base that needs your services, and generally with an overworked staff that's looking for help in dealing with the information deficit that this client base may have, and they may well be in need of your services. Many of these physicians have taken out a TI program when they were still in medical school and haven't addressed it since. So there are different needs across the board when you visit with a doctor's office, be it group insurance or just coverage for their patients or with the doctor themselves. Newer doctors as well are generally looking for a means to grow their patient base, and having a resource such as yourself with the knowledge of the industry, and particularly those specializing in a segment of our population that accesses care much more frequently, you're a valued part of their overall marketing program as well. When you look into other medical professionals, many of us have dealt with retail marketing year in and year out, and sometimes it slips the mind of the fact that, okay, that is still a marketing activity on a year-round basis, and those pharmacists may be a key provider of leads for you as well. And you look at it in many circumstances, they're dealing with corporate. Sometimes corporate will give them tools to help people evaluate their choices. Sometimes they don't. Even if they have the tools, sometimes they don't have the time to use them. These are folks that can be of great help to you, and you can be of great help to them by not only engaging in market venue programs, retail programs such as the Walmart program or the CVS programs or other retail programs through different carriers, but it is a real touch point in this circumstance, because many times a person will see their pharmacist or the pharmacy itself much more frequently than they do their doctor. So it's a great touch point, be it an established pharmacist in an area that is part of a chain or a newer pharmacist that is in a smaller independent type of shop. Both of them need your help, and having the information that helps influence decisions by providing the product information and the different assistance programs that can make a huge bearing on the cost and effectiveness of the coverage that you offer can make you a very valuable resource to these individuals and make those individuals a source of leads for you as well. I briefly mentioned the market venue programs. Right now, there are selections going on for Walmart and CVS, and the other information for other programs with other carriers are coming out daily. So if this is something that you want as part of your overall marketing program, it's crucial that we speak up now, or as they say in the TV marriage ceremonies, or forever hold your peace. Not forever, but you might be losing out on an opportunity that can be part of an overall program. I would never suggest that any one marketing technique be your sole means of lead generation. That includes working with docs, that includes market venue programs, that includes mailing, whatever your source of lead generation is. Make it part of an overall program, but access information on how these programs influence each other and how you can make one positively affect the effects of another. When we look at dentists as well, we're looking at an area where you have less of an established type of network relationship and more of one of almost an individual, independent proprietor. And these dentists have challenges sometimes with their account receivables. You don't see as many people that have dental coverage. And so you're having these types of base programs and providing a bit of financial relief to a physician by leveraging the dollars through an insurance program premium for overall benefit can make a big difference in the success of these practices and in the reciprocal relationship that you have with them referring people to you for different services. This demand product is a great way for you to grow your book for your overall marketing emphasis. And what I mean by that is simply you're using a demand product to grow your book of business, and then you can cross-sell the other way with additional medical programs or life insurance, final expense, whatever else your emphasis with your practice happens to be. And it too is an opportunity where you can work it with established dentists or newer dentists in an area. A great way to access folks on all ends of the spectrum with experience in the dental world. If you look at it in the dental aspect of what coverage someone has with Medicare, well, they don't really have any to speak of beyond certain types of preventative care or restorative care. And the bulk of the Medicare population, 2/3 of it, doesn't have dental coverage at all. So it's a great way to market for folks that really have need. And most of these programs are not underwritten. So you have an opportunity to grow this very quickly with little decline as to the applications that you have that you present to the carriers. People recognize the need. 3/4 of the senior population say they plan to visit the dentist within the next year, and less than half of them actually do. The main reason for that is, well, the services are fairly expensive, and nearly 20% of that population spent more than $1,000 last year. And if you look at some of the base medical coverages and the ancillary coverages that come with it, MedSups don't offer dental coverage. Medicare Advantage programs may offer some limited coverage. So regardless of how people are accessing their base care, they have need for dental coverage as well, because all the stuff that you really need, well, aren't covered by Medicare, and there are just very few things that are. When you also look at the consideration of the pure size of this market, when we talk about 2/3 of the Medicare population, you're looking at nearly 40 million people across the country that don't have dental coverage, and accessing these professionals is the best way to make certain that you tap into this resource, folks that have the genuine need. And for some of us, we'll look at different dental coverages and you'll say, well, gee, you're spending $35 a month. What are they getting? $1,000? Would you trade $35 12 times a year for $1,000? Most of us, if we were to invest that in a type of retirement program would be really happy with that return. So consider that where you are substituting dollars and you're multiplying and leveraging those premiums to make certain that the care that we need is available to the folks we visit with. So even if someone has a Medicare Advantage program, sometimes that coverage just isn't enough anyway. And a good portion of the folks that we really need to reach, those folks that are partial dual eligibles, the near poor, the folks that may qualify for a little bit of assistance on their medication coverage through the Extra Help program, but don't qualify for a dual special needs program and some of the rich benefits some of those plans have, well, it's a natural market for the dental coverage that we have with multiple carriers. And you can find these folks through a number of different resources. God bless Google. You can find about anything on the online now, including different databases that will actually take you into a GPS type of situation where you can find out and map out where these folks are and how to work out a route to visit with them. All the contact information obviously is there since they're selling their services as well. And it's a great way for you to make certain that you're able to market, and you're marketing to a population that technically can't be on a do not call list when you're speaking to businesses. You still got to work with the gatekeeper, but it's a great way to get in front of people who really need your services on a consistent basis. There are some base tips that you can follow in order to be more successful at this. If you are visiting folks on a personal basis, make certain that you're dressing professionally and smiling. Amazing what a smile can do with a dentist or a doctor. And creating that rapport and establishing a relationship with that gatekeeper, with that front desk person, can be crucial in your or in your success, because you don't get past them, you aren't going anywhere. And remember, you're a bit of an interruption to their day. They have a ton of things they need to do as well, and you need to draw from them a positive response by bringing value to your visit. Making available to them additional revenue is a great way to do that, and it's important for us to then be considerate of their time, set appointments, and follow up on a consistent basis on those appointments. Having information about the different programs that you offer can be a key difference maker. It's always great to converse and discuss the different programs that are available to them, but having a bit of a leave behind, a way of marking your territory in a manner of speaking, additional information about those programs, be they a marketing flyer or a type of marketing piece available from a specific carrier or a segment of the industry as a whole, can make a big difference. There are a ton of generic materials available for the Medicare space and in the dental space as well. So having that information available and being prepared for that visit can make a big difference, and you can get more of a quick start in that fashion. Because keep in mind, none of this is really a microwave process. There may be certain circumstances where you're going to garner immediate prospects, but this is creating a relationship and doing things on a long-term basis so you have the business growing year-round as well. If you're working the Medicare space, it's important to vary some of your approach by the time of the year that you have. Obviously, during open enrollment or after the introduction of the next year's benefits is a great way to offer a type of a review process. Keep in mind, you can do that year-round for that portion of the payer mix in a doctor's office that isn't part of a network-based program. So those folks who have Medicare supplement programs in most states, you have the ability to offer that program year-round on an underwritten basis, and it gives you the opportunity of helping that doctor keep his payer mix or her payer mix in the fashion they want to. Not everyone wants to put all their eggs in one basket with one product and one company. That's why a number of these folks contract with multiple organizations and don't push one product over the other. It's important they don't anyway, but that's a little bit of a compliance issue, but we need to make certain that as we go through the year, particularly at this particular point in time in the year, we're halfway through May now, you have a number of people who are entering into the coverage gap, the heavier utilizers of medications, and those folks can be a great audience for information on low-income subsidy extra help programs. We have done additional information presentations for that as well, so you have access to that information through us, well, through the internet, a number of different ways, through different carriers with whom you may already be contracted, but it's a great way to vary your approach and offer something of value each and every time that you visit with a particular provider location. Because remember, you're an independent agent with a full portfolio of products offering choices, and you have the opportunity to deliver the right product for the right person at the right time. Much as when you visit a doctor, you don't just walk into a patient room and they take a peek at you and go, here's a pill, this is going to cure you. They're going to do tests, they're going to ask questions, they're going to help determine what might well be the best fit for you in that circumstance. You have options available as part of your portfolio. You can do the same thing in the insurance world for that patient base. It's obviously a great way of creating a relationship by becoming knowledgeable of the folks that are in these key locations as well. It's important to make the use of someone's name. It's amazing the difference between calling someone by their name versus hey you. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but knowing some of those key components and utilizing that personalization and the opportunity to make certain that those folks realize that you think of them as a person and an individual that is capable of helping you, and you are capable of delivering assistance to them as well. That makes a huge difference, be it the front desk person, be it the office manager, be it the lady that or gentleman that is handling the insurance filings. So making yourself available and personable with contact information is a huge piece of it. And depending upon how that office is looking to grow their practice or not, and knowing how to maintain some of the workflow within that organization can make a huge difference. What do I mean by that? Well, is it flu season? Or is it a time of the year where they're more of a general practitioner and it's time for the school physicals? What all is affecting that particular location? And are they looking to grow the practice? Is the doc looking to sell out? One of the things we're seeing in the medical profession are a number of physicians that are fighting burnout. So some of the tools that you can bring into play with medical group experience or just dealing with offices overall in helping make that office more efficient or offering different suggestions in that fashion can really aid in deepening your relationship and ultimately building the trust that you need to deliver upon the information you have for their patient base. And remember, not every provider is part of a network, but they still need your help as well, because they may access insurance benefits through Medicare supplements instead of a Medicare Advantage program. And those folks need your ability to help deliver information on different product type, different carriers, different premium ranges, and all of the additional needs that they have on standalone dental and prescription drug programs as well. So whether or not they're part of a network, well, it's just varying your approach on how you deal with that population and what is their hot button with the information that you have available. Basics are really simple. It's just, hey, this is who I am, this is what I offer, these are the things that I can do to help your office. And that's what your intent needs to be. How are you going to be of service to that particular location at that particular time? Because it'll vary throughout the year. Different offices, as I mentioned, have different goals as well. If you're dealing with an older physician, they may be looking to maintain the size of their practice and not looking to grow it. Different docs may have different ideas as to what their key strengths are, what their practice philosophy is, and how are some of the services that you offer a means for them to reinforce that message with their client base. If the provider in question is looking to grow their practice, having information available for the public that you discuss your programs with can make a great deal of influence with that practice as well, and being open with them about your communication as to how you're dealing with the public can give you additional means of strengthening that relationship that you have with a doctor. One of my most gratifying experiences a number of years ago was in a particular segment of our community here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We had the company I was working with had a very strong portfolio, but in certain markets, you tend to establish your relationships. You learn more about certain doctors and how they treat their patients, and if it fits your philosophy as well, that tends to be one of the individuals that you make note of during conversations with someone who may be changing physicians because of a network arrangement or need a new doctor. I had the opportunity to actually call and visit with a number of physicians, but one, I had a hard time catching him. So I left him a message saying, hey, I appreciate the service that you're delivering to the folks that I am enrolling in this program, and wanted to thank you for the delivery of that service. I don't think he probably got a lot of calls thanking him in that fashion, more of a, hey, what can you do for me approach. Actually got a call back. We established a very strong relationship moving forward, and he's a gentleman that I call my friend now 20 years later. It's a great way of just going out of the norm and making certain that they realize that you recognize they're a key component in taking care of your shared client. Obviously, being prepared is a big difference maker, a big differentiator in how you can deliver upon the different benefits that you offer. What makes you different than any other agent that walks into one of these provider offices? Well, knowing a bit about the assistance programs, the entitlement programs for the medication coverage or for other medical expenses in the Medicare arena can make a huge difference. Right now, you probably have a ton of providers being peppered with requests for samples or other types of assistance, or they may have patients that just can't afford their medications at this particular point in time. You're helping them procure that additional assistance through the extra help programs can make a huge difference. And keeping a person on a prescription that they can track and you can see adherence to, depending upon the contracting relationship that specialist or doctor has with their medical group, that might positively affect their compensation as well. So the different things that you bring to the table can not only affect the well-being of the patients, but it might nudge the compensation needle for that particular provider too. It's also important to note that there may be certain plan benefits that the doctor or their offices may be unaware of, an increase in the transportation benefit, an over-the-counter benefit, a number of different additional details that are becoming much more the norm and will become even greater influencers in the future with these non-medical type of benefits that much of the Medicare Advantage world is going to. Having the awareness of those programs can make you stand out as well. And knowing how that can positively affect the doctors or dentists or whatever providers patient base can make a huge difference as to the establishment of your credibility and the relationship that you have with a particular location. It's also awful important to make certain that you mark your territory. You leave behind a package of information about you and what you do. There are some really nice generic materials made available for explanation of Medicare programs. Those are different pieces that you can have made that don't require the innovation on your part to create the piece. You don't want to be that portion of that type of agent anyway, because you want to make certain that they're all compliant and those are available to you. So having that information in preparation for a visit is crucial, because hey, you may be able to establish that sort of marketing relationship right off the bat. There's also the importance of some of the follow-up that is crucial when creating that relationship too. When's the last time you got a written thank you? Not an email, not a phone call. Someone actually wrote you a little note saying, hey, I appreciate what you do for me. When you think of the last time that's happened to you, you remember it. For one thing, it's also a differentiator. So as you go about creating your key influencers in your target market, make certain that you follow up in that fashion. Differentiate yourself in that manner and be consistent upon your approach. As I mentioned, this isn't necessarily a microwave marketing effort, but it gives you the opportunity to create that relationship, start it, and you can deepen it by being consistent and following up thoughtfully with the information that you have available. If there is a provider in a particular area that you see a lot of activity with, making certain that they realize that you are an influencer in that community with that provider as well can make a bit of a difference. And we see a number of different provider groups marketing very aggressively for doctors with whom they contract. Creating the relationship with those provider groups can make a key difference as well. In many circumstances, they have marketing arrangements with these different doctors and dentists, and that can be a big difference maker into the success of your overall marketing programs. As I mentioned, you have the opportunity to use marketing materials not only labeled with the different carriers with whom you represent, but some generic material as well. One of the things that you have when you deal in the Medicare Advantage arena is if a doctor is contracted with multiple organizations, they are obligated to make that information available to the public. If one's out there, they should all be out there, but they don't have to chase it. You being aware of with whom a provider contracts can make a difference, because you then are able to supply the material that is necessary to keep them on the up and up, so to speak. Being aware of that can make a huge difference, and being aware of the regulatory guidelines that are given to not only the plans, but these providers can make a key difference as well. And being one of those folks that play it straight can make a huge difference. Remember, you can't market in an area where patients receive care. There's been a relaxation of the waiting room because that was considered an area where the patients receive care, but there's some different changes that are coming about with some of the programs now that give you more latitude than what we've had in the past. But it's important that we dot our I's and cross our T's and follow all the guidelines that are available, because there are some things that you can ask of a practice that they can deliver and some that they can't. And remember, there are things that dentists can do that a medical doctor cannot as well. So tailoring your approach to the provider with whom you're visiting makes a huge difference as well. Don't be totally expectant of that office staff to be your marketing component within that community, within that patient base. They can't. Not in the physician's offices. There are certain things that can happen within the arrangement of a dentist office, but keep in mind, those folks have a ton of things to do anyway. They're not there to be your marketing arm. Making that information available and making it easy for distribution is part of your assignment in order to make that a viable part of your marketing program. But be aware of what you can and cannot ask staff to do. Because quite frankly, the government tells them what they can and cannot do when you're talking about doctors and specialists in hospitals. A ton of different things that will come available as well, because we are seeing some new entries into different markets with additional carriers. And as those carriers contract with providers, you can help share in spreading that information, and that is a viable compliant activity dependent upon the manner in which it's delivered. So let's make certain that we cross our I's, dot our T's, and do what we can in order to help that provider announce their affiliations and their programs that they offer. And keep in mind, they don't have to do that with med subs. So if you're dealing with an organization that is not part of a market, making available Medicare options can be a very viable program for you, and doing it on a generic basis doesn't tie you necessarily with just one carrier. You also have opportunity in certain markets as well for docs that are more open to marketing to the special needs community. And that may be the dual population. It may be folks that are afflicted by certain medical conditions that are covered under certain chronic special needs programs. So being aware of the availability of plan types can also help you market very effectively, and it may aid you in determining what specialist could be a viable partner for you as well. So having the information available and being aware of what a provider can and cannot do is very important. It's also very important for you to be aware of what you can do. Now, you can set up and host a camp or be available with materials on a certain day or time, as long as it is in a common area and not an area in which medical services are delivered. You can help educate the staff. You can obviously make different materials available to an organization as well. But a doctor can't supply you with a list of their patients and ask you to dial through it. That's a little bit of a HIPAA challenge in addition to the MIPA challenge that comes with it. But making you available as a resource to their patients is a possibility. Knowing what might be the most effective times for that office is very important as well, because going in on a Monday, hey, everybody got sick over the weekend, Mondays are hectic, Wednesday afternoons, oh, they're out golfing, or they have staff meetings at particular points in time. It gives you then a way of making the hours in the day more effective simply by knowing a routine of an office and what may or may not be available for you to access. Making certain that the staff knows there are different options available and they don't have to have all the answers when it comes to the coverage. They're not the insurance professional, you are, and making that information available to them through you as a resource, be it on an ongoing basis with patients that have coverage that they have questions, or they're out of coverage and they need help with assistance programs, or hey, they're aging in, the situation's different, or that's a new person in the neighborhood and they've accessed a new doc. You can be that source of information to them, and making certain that that office knows that you're that resource is a huge, huge advantage. There are always, of course, however, bad days for ourselves and for offices as well. It's important we realize that circumstance and that we deal with it professionally. We don't make up an answer. We access the carrier's provider services department. We help facilitate an answer, but we're not a customer service rep. It's important for us to do what we can and then make certain that the folks that are tasked with a particular obligation of that sort is able to follow through with the services that you're promising as part of an insurance proposition. Relationships are interesting. We all realize that. But as we work with providers, it's important to act professionally, earn that trust, build that trust, follow up, and earn the respect of a particular provider. And it can make a huge difference in your success in your chosen target market. We can carry on this same philosophy to the folks that we deal with through our market venue programs, working retail, and the specialists that come into play. in this circumstance, we have greater influence of corporate in many circumstances. If you're dealing with a chain pharmacy, they have obligations to their region and to the national headquarters, but your expertise in the area of assistance with the cost of those medications and preferred pharmacies as part of your overall marketing analysis can make a huge difference as to whether or not you are effective in a particular location. Everyone speaks to the fact there are good stores and there are bad stores. Not really. To a degree, there may be a difference in the demographic that's accessing a particular location. It may be a circumstance of how they're accessing it. Are you dealing with a location that has more drive-through business than you have walk-in? You need to make certain that you then have the material available for distribution however a person accesses that information and be that resource for that location. This is where our knowing and being familiar with and comfortable with LIS and MSP programs can make a huge difference. It's also important to make note of the fact that certain locations may be a preferred pharmacy with one plan versus another, and accurately putting in that information in the analysis can make a huge difference as to whether or not you're going to be effective in that circumstance. We've all seen times when we went to pick up our own medication where there's a line at the pharmacy and the farm techs are doing everything they can to fill prescriptions and get them out in a timely basis. They don't necessarily have some of the resources that are necessary to answer the questions that come into play. You having those materials available for them to reference and you as a resource for a referral type of basis can make a huge difference. Remember, once you establish a relationship with the locations, you have strong continuity in the delivery of care in many of the locations. Creating that relationship gives you not only access to that client base, but also the deliverers of that care. And being aware of your full portfolio of products, it might be a completely different type of lead source for you. When we look at some of the differences between a provider based on from a physician point of view, or from a dentist or a pharmacy point of view, you have some similarities, but you have some differences as well. The dentists aren't as strongly affiliated in many circumstances with networks or in the same fashion as you see in the medical community. What you have then is an opportunity to have a greater influence with some of the dentists because you don't see that same penetration of the insurance coverage or of some of the same marketing pressure that you might through some of the medical community. This gives you the opportunity to go to basics and make certain that you can influence that accounts receivable on an ongoing basis by the fee-for-service programs that you offer in the dental arena. So some different things that can come into play with working with dentists, different marketing pressure, and different approaches as well. And it's amazing how some of these carriers have some very innovative, neat marketing materials already made available to you. And we are seeing a number of the dual special needs programs market to and through the dental community more than we have with any other portion of the Medicare population. So it's additional marketing support that might be available from a carrier that you don't suspect. It's one of those things you got to ask the question sometimes and be aware of the fact that, hey, you've got a full portfolio of products. There's a number of programs that you can use as a hot button, making certain that, hey, is this the thing that can make the difference for this provider? Can you take some of the pressure off of a particular office? Can you enhance that situation through the programs that you offer? One of the things that we strongly recommend is that you incorporate this into any type of an overall marketing program if you're targeting a particular area on a geographic basis particularly, because this can make a huge difference when bundled. If we're going to do an American pickers type of approach, because it can make a huge difference on your success across the board by referencing other materials and other initiatives that you're involved in. If you work retail, boy, identify the different providers of care in an area around that location that you are working, and making available to that provider then the times that you're in that retail establishment doing evaluations for the folks that come and visit with you. That can be a great resource for them. And that symbiotic relationship that you develop in that area then allows you to work backwards throughout the rest of the year, where you are then getting people directly sent to you as opposed to a third-party location. Or gives you the opportunity to market year-round in that retail situation that you hadn't considered or hadn't been able to take advantage of in the past. Some of the things that we're going to be able to help you with, especially here at Premier, is because you are working on a portfolio type of basis, we can simplify that contracting process through establishment of a profile, an agent profile through this software system. And you can electronically contract with multiple carriers very simply and very easily by using the assurance-based system. We also make certain that you protect yourself. We realize that you have multiple resources to access for different contracts. Not everybody offers every program, and if you are utilizing the services of multiple organizations, you need to protect yourself as well. Some may be able to add you to a blanket program for certain policies that are offered through that organization, but they don't do it across the board. No one does. What this does is make certain that you're protected regardless of where that contract originates, and that you are being the responsible insurance professional that you need to be in this area. We also make available discounted continuing education programs that enable you to keep your license in place, and a way to augment your own benefit package through a modified guarantee issue disability income program that offers you discounted rates where you share in the commission of that product as well. A great way to add to your own personal benefit package. When we speak of the different components that are part of an overall successful marketing program, that means there are a number of different approaches that you can be aware of and integrate into that overall program. Sometimes you can't always hit one when it's actually going on. Well, that's one of the reasons why we record these different presentations and make them available for you 24/7 on our website at premiersmi.com, on our YouTube site. We also have a listing of these programs available too. Part of the follow-up to today's presentation will have a link that takes you directly to these different recordings of the different presentations, so you can pick and choose what might be a valuable asset for you to resource and access on an ongoing basis, available to you 24/7. We do make electronic support available to you. We're constantly enhancing the tools that are made available to our agents, in many cases without cost. The quoting tool that we have, it doesn't take advantage of just Medicare supplements. It gives you access to final expense, dental programs, hospital indemnity programs, basic demographic information on MA and PDP programs as well, not as a comparison tool, but as information for you on that part. But it is a great comparison tool for Medicare supplements, and we are implementing a process where you can actually complete an electronic application for carriers moving forward through this tool as well. A great way to help you cross-sell. We also have ways to help you do other electronic enrollments on a remote basis as well. The Medicare Center program is a great way for you to stay compliant in the Medicare Advantage and prescription drug world, because you can access that scope of appointment electronically, set up different categories so you can cross-sell based off of that for individual health programs, utilize it as a database to do annual reviews for folks you sold, drive your persistency, and the folks you missed to drive additional sales as well. So some really cool things that can come into play for you in the Medicare Center arena. We also have a program that can help you put your social media programs on autopilot. And we want to make certain that you access all of the incentives that are available to you as an independent agent, both with carrier trips and incentives and with the producers convention that we put on as well here at Premier. This coming year, it's a cruise from Miami to the Bahamas. So if you're one of those sun worshipers, this is definitely a trip you want to be part of next April. We also help with different programs to put you in front of the individuals with all these wonderful programs. Having a contact list that you can utilize on a cold call basis is still a viable part of many marketing programs. You just have to be aware of how you can do it and in what circumstances it's available. And are you utilizing the correct program for it? It's great for med subs. It's great for final expense. It's awesome for dental programs. And it's a quick little piece where these lists can be available to you at a deeply discounted cost or perhaps even gratis, depending upon your contracting situation with our organization. That gives you the opportunity to compliantly reach out and build your book of business. Incorporating in the community-based programs, including the one we've discussed today, the provider marketing piece, can be a very key component in being successful in a particular target market, implementing the different retail programs that we briefly discussed, and approaching different centers of influence in the community, such as faith-based organizations, can really drive your success in a market. Many of the carriers also have that scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type of attitude. Some of them have really innovative marketing approaches that give you additional support. Making certain that you're able to leverage that relationship can be very important to your success. We have an internet pilot program going now in our final expense world that can be a really cool way for you to grow that segment of your business and then cross-sell backwards off of that. We do offer direct mail support based on production, where you can significantly drive down the cost of your mail. We ask that you look at the correspondence available through our preferred lead vendors because we're responsible for keeping the programs compliant. But it's also a way then that you can access and leverage the information from these lead vendors. It's what they do for a living. You don't have to recreate the wheel, and they can help you with different tweakings of the parameters of your mailing and perhaps even change the topic that you're mailing for. You may be chasing the Medicare population, but you're accessing it through dental programs because it's a demand product with a higher response rate, and you're working it backwards. Some great programs that can come into play that way. We've got recordings of some of that philosophy on our website, and we have a webinar coming up next month on that topic as well. All in all, we want the opportunity to earn your business. We feel that many of these programs can be key indicators of your success moving forward in your chosen arena. They can work for multiple types of products. We want to be there as your partner, and we want to earn your business and be part of that success. We want your business, and we're asking for it. It's important for you then to determine, are the different topics that we discuss a valuable part of your personal marketing program? I sincerely feel that working with providers in your target market can be a key portion of a contributor for your success moving forward. It's a question then of identifying it as part of your process, putting it in play, and making certain that we're acting on it. That round to it tool, well, sometimes it's hard to find if you don't just do it. John Wayne said in the Cowboys, saddle up, we're burning daylight, it's time to move. That said, you can reach any of our health marketers or any of the marketers within our organization at our toll-free number at 1-800-365-8208 or through our website at premiersmi.com. We look forward to the opportunity of visiting with you on an ongoing basis, but particularly about this topic and how you can make it a portion of your marketing program. We thank you for the investment of your time with us today. We realize that is your most valuable asset, and we thank you for that. And we look forward to the discussion we'll be having in the very near future. That said, in the meantime, hey, we wish you good selling. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.